All right, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Copy Corner with your host, Terry Schilling.
And Dan Marzullo.
Yes, this is our corner of the internet where we like to talk about copywriting, content marketing tips to help you write better copy to sell more stuff. And today we're going to be going back to some basics here, Dan, because I get a lot of questions from like copywriters that are in like our Facebook group. And we've had people comment on some of our episodes too, of just copywriters, content writers in the beginning stages of just like, I struggle with SEO. Like, what are some things that I need to know? Like, how do I get started with keyword research, right? To help my clients, rather to help, my website rank, as freelancers too. So we wanted to go through and talk about how to get started with keyword research for free as today's topic. So we'll go over some basic principles and then we'll have some examples for you guys too of what to look out for to help you. But Dan, I'll kind of let you, start this because you're more of the content writing, side of things here. So go ahead and go through some basic principles and, then we'll just kind of rip off of each other here with some examples.
Yeah, sounds good, Terry. I think the first step to getting started is you got to find a tool, right? Like to be able to identify, okay, how much traffic are certain terms getting, what keywords should I focus on? You can't just pull that out of thin air and say, oh, we're going to just choose this term and we're going to write about it. You know what I mean? You have to have a tool to get some data to know if it's going to be worth your time pursuing certain phrases. So since we're keeping it on the topic of free today, I mean, there's several tools that you can use that are free. Google Keyword Planner is probably the most popular one because you can type in different search phrases on Google and see how much traffic those phrases are getting every month and the competition and all that. But I like, we've used Ubersuggest for, I don't know, probably a year or two now. And that's my favorite because you just get a little bit more accurate data. It's less broad than Google Keyword Planner. And I mean, there's free and paid versions. And if you're not, running an SEO agency, the free version is usually just fine, right? If you're not doing more than like, I forget what the cap is, but I think you can do 5 to 10 searches for free with Ubersuggest before they try to kick you to a paid plan. 5 to 10 searches every day. So as long as, if you're writing more than 10 articles a day or whatever, or 5, then sure, maybe you need to upgrade. But that would be my first step or tip, Terry, is you got to get a tool first. That's where we would start.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll chime in with another free tool is just to Answer the Public, which is just a really fun one. We've talked about it on the podcast before, but if this is your first time kind of listening to us about this topic, Answer the Public, you get a couple free researches a month, or I think or throughout the day, but there is like the free version plan of it. All SEO tools have a free version, majority of them. And then they give you just enough where like you want like, okay, now I want to pay for it. So it's a business model too at the end of the day.
It's all software, because, right?
Yeah, it will show up with like the what, how, why, popular searches that you can find. But then also just go in and search Google, like search your topic, right? And then you can find in like the suggested phrases, see your competitors. But yeah, and like that's where we want to get into these basic principles when it comes to keyword research. So like understand your niche of like what you're looking to rank for. So, if you're talking about, copywriting, that's your C keyword. And then when you type it in Google, you can see some of the suggested, like how to get started as a copywriter, what is copywriting, what is the difference between copywriting, content writing. You can find those things, and find those phrases where potentially you could rank for. Either way, search that topic, and then you can find who your competitors are in Google and whatever search engine you use, right? And you can see who's ranking for what. The search volume too is important. And Dan, I want to ask you this question for search volume. What would be a volume where you have a better chance to rank for? Because if you see something like 100,000, that's really competitive. And if you're a new product, you don't want to really go after that keyword because there's a really slim chance you're going to rank on the first page.
Right. No, that's a great question, Terry. I think we should use our example that we were kind of chatting about earlier and talk about pretzels on the podcast today. Like you said, if you take a super basic popular phrase like pretzels and you type that and you're like, oh, I want to rank for pretzels, your chances are going to be pretty dang slim, right? We did some looking ourselves on Uber Suggest earlier, and the term pretzels gets like over 130,000 monthly searches, and the competition is crazy high. So if you think you're gonna, with a fresh website, no domain authority out of the gate, come and show up on page 1 of Google for pretzels, like, oh, you got another thing coming, right? So so really, you know, where we start is if it's a new site, or if, you know, somebody that doesn't have a lot of search volume and they don't already rank for keywords and have a strong domain authority, right? Is that's kind of where you start, is, okay, what's the competition actually rank for this? So before we even think about, you know, okay, how many monthly searches does this get? It's more about, okay, can we realistically rank for this within the next, you know, 6 to 12 months, right? So start there. So search different phrases in one of these tools that you pick, and then figure out which one has kind of a lower level of competition, and it'll tell you with these tools, right? And then from there, you want to kind of pair that with search volume. If the term that you're searching has no difficulty, but if it gets 5 searches a month, it's not worth your time either, right? So it's kind of this balancing act of, okay, this phrase gets 150, 400 searches a month, and it's not that competitive. That's a good phrase to go after. So that's what we recommend, is like, start with a phrase, you know, long tail keyword that at least has a few hundred searches a month, with low competition. That's kind of what you want to look for there.
Yeah. Can you briefly define long tail keyword compared to like the seed keyword? Like pretzels would be the seed keyword. That's the big one.
Right. Yeah. So pretzels is, you know, it's one seed keyword. So like we said, it's super high competition, but your long tail keyword would be like, you know, like we were saying earlier, soft pretzel recipes or something, right? It's a little more specific. So the more and more specific you get, the less search volume every month, right? Because it's a more specific term. But also with that, typically the competition is going to go down. So it's kind of, there's a lot of gold there, is if you're going after these longer phrases instead of just trying to rank for these seed keywords, like you said.
Yeah. And one thing to remember is, like, think of that parent topic. So we were talking about this earlier. So you go in Google and you type in how to make soft pretzels, right? And then you go and search Google again of like, what are soft pretzels? Like if this, let's just say these are the 2 articles that you wanted to think about writing, you'll see that the same links show up, like easy homemade soft pretzels and video, like show up on like next on the page for both of those topics. But if you switch that up and you say how to make gluten-free soft pretzels, you'll see less competition, less results, but also a bunch of different content compared to how to make soft pretzels. And you can even go deeper than that. You can say like how to make soft pretzel, or how to make gluten-free soft pretzel bites, right? Something different. And you could create like a recipe video on YouTube, and then you could write an article, and you can have that all on one page. Because if you're talking about like, what are soft pretzels, how to make soft pretzels, have that on one content article. It's kind of our example, because you'll see that, you know, you get the same content in both searches. So you don't need to have like a whole different topic. But again, if you wanted to make how to make gluten-free soft pretzels, that would be a whole nother page that Google doesn't see as the same, you know, competing wise. And so then you have a better chance to rank for both topics. And that's kind of like a basic principle with keyword research when you're getting started. And that's something you can do for free by just doing quick Google searches. And then you can use some of the free tools that we suggested to find some of those long tail, you know, keyword phrases, right? Like that, again, like how to make gluten-free soft pretzel bites, or, you know, the best places to get gluten-free pretzels. You can find these different areas. But yeah, that's some of the basics here. Let's just wrap this up too, just talking about backlinks too, because I think when it comes to keyword research, it's important to kind of know some basics about, you know, adding backlinks in there too. Dan, do you want to briefly touch on that?
Sure. Yeah. So, you know, in today's day and age of Google and the amount of content that's out there, it's not enough to just write an article and optimize it for the keyword, right? If you have it in your title and your headings and this and that, you need you need backlinks, right? To build authority to your domain. That's what it does. That's the whole concept. Is Google sees, okay, Dan wrote this article and Terry and 10 other sources on the internet linked to Dan's article. They think Google is, okay, that must be a pretty authoritative, accurate, knowledge-filled article because all of these other sources link to it. So backlinks help build credibility and authority to the article, which is what Google wants to see in addition to keyword optimization, right? To push that article up to that first page. So you'll see that in a lot of these tools when you're typing out, keyword suggestions, it'll say, here's the competition, the average website that's on the first page for this topic has 80 backlinks or whatever. So it kind of gets you a guide of where you're going to fit for that in terms of competition. So backlinks are super important to help get on page one.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just remind me of just like have an original take on an idea and look up what's trending, because if you can be this authority like voice in this topic, the more people will link back to your page and your article. So then Google will, become better friends with you. Like you're sitting at the cool table, which is page one.
That's a good example. I like it.
So just something to think about. Like look at what's trending and see if you can, come up with like a fun article that will help you rank as well. So yeah, that's our, how to get started with keyword research for free. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Again, we know it's a popular topic when it comes to copywriting and content writing, whether you're writing for yourself or for your clients. We wanted to give you guys some tools and some free basic principles here. But yeah, Dan, any other last words before we say goodbye?
No, I think that's it, Terry. Drop your comments. I want to see if anybody doesn't use Google as their primary search engine. Like, you hear about Bing and all that a lot. Let us know if you're a rebel and Google is not the tool you use to find your articles.
Yeah. Some people use the DuckDuckGo because it's less, more security. I know that's a big one, but yeah, that's a good question. We're a little bit over our 10-minute mark of that we say, but it's okay, guys. We're still keeping this short and sweet for everybody. And there's a lot of stuff that we wanted to cover today. So everyone, thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Copy Corner. We're back every Tuesday. We drop the episodes in the podcast, but you can come hang out with us on YouTube. We do these live every Monday as well. So thank you for watching. Love what you do. Proceed with passion. We'll see you in the next episode.